Thanks for listening to or watching the Upland Down Under Podcast. Tonight's show is recording live on Thursday, the 11th of January at 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. On tonight's show, we'll catch up on the Upland market floors. We'll check in on the neighbourhood ratings for January and reflect on the recent Q1 2024 roadmap update video. I've got the main topic for this week down as Totem Life. It's a touch complicated. However, I don't have much to say on that myself, so we'll see if any of our live participants want to chime in on that one. We've also got QIPS on Upland's ownership future, in-home utility, Sparklet, exchangeability, Totems, and another one on Speedway, Metaverse and Map asset viewing lag. And we'll take a look at another Upland community member spotlight care of the dynamic node builders team. All that and more, of course, on this, the Upland Down Under podcast. As I do a quick pit stop to change my glasses. If you're wondering how you can take part in the live recordings of this podcast, I dropped the link to the Zoom in the NBA server Thursday nights at 6:45 p.m. AEST. Let's get into Breaking Badly news and take a look at what's currently happening in the Upland market floors. Can you still hear me? Because my audio just went all weird. You still got me there, Smiley? Anybody?
Yeah, mate, I got you loud and clear.
All right, mate, just when I changed my glasses, something went on. Thanks, Grizz. All right, let's see. And thank you to Swally who patched through the numbers this afternoon. So, yes, the numbers should be pretty accurate today, unlike last couple of weeks. So, what do we got? 90-day averages, not much happening here. 0.7% down on the transactions volumes, little tiny bump, 0.2% on the trading volume. Not much doing there. Unique active wallets up a fraction. I was expecting this to be bumped up a bit more than that, only up 1.4% based on, totems coming in line and all that sort of stuff. And total minted properties, 2,106 properties minted through the week. So still over 300,000 available to purchase. Now, city markets, when I looked at the numbers you sent through, I was like, that can't be right. Arlington, 15,800, but it is. And then I even looked back at last week. Even last week, it's 14,500. So Arlington, quite healthy over there. And it's had a boost on both the UPX and the USD. Was $5.69. Someone's playing around there, playing funny buggers. Now up 17.6% to $6.69. Ooh la la. Bakersfield up on the UPX, down on the USD. Interesting. It's pushing back to that $3 floor. Berlin, not much happening there. Bronx had a pretty big hit, down 15% or almost 16% on the UPX. Back down under 10,000, now at 9,000. And then it's a bit all over the place. Dallas, 23% down on the USD, was just under $6, now $4.50. That's a big hit. Keep in mind, some of these might be balked figures from last week, finally been fixed up for this week. What else is jumping out at me? Rio up 22% on the UPX. I dare say that'd be a balk figure there from last week. Probably same for Sao Paulo, up 24%. Other than that, pretty flat. Santa Clara down 10% on the USD. Wasn't just under $19 last week, just under $17 this week. Worst place to buy for UPX and sell for USD remains at LaSalle, and Dallas is also stretching out, as is New Orleans. On the flip side, if you want to buy for UPX and sell for USD, you got best options, Detroit, Chicago, Queens, and Rio. Going to get back into that game myself relatively soon. I got to save some more UPX. Need to get back to at least 1 million for the next city release or expansion, and then I'll be playing the USD up game as well. So that's about all I'm looking at there. And I did it again. Look, I clicked off that, and we're going to go straight to the neighborhood ratings. Dumb. All right, let's have a look. See if it'll click over. No, too far. Yes, neighborhood ratings. As predicted, Midtown Terrace didn't last very long at the top there, and we're, neck and neck. Red Hook and Merced Manor look set to battle it out, although don't discount Quailwood as well in 4th place currently. But yes, Red Hook has it at the moment. Still very early days in the month. Nothing out of the ordinary, looking like it's creeping up. Although, what's that Bronx one? Sputin Juville. Never heard of that one. And then the rest of the leaderboard is just full of like smallish to medium-sized nodes where we're kind of tapped out with what we can do. That's Sherwood Forest, Greenwich Village seems to be in the same kind of thing. Bayswater Dog Patch, Bronxdale, of course, Palmer Park, Hanson Dam. There's a whole bunch of them that there's not much action there. So it wouldn't take much for a newish big node to come in and knock all those scores for 6. But hopefully not. Red Hook and Merced Manor would be both deserved winners, as would Quailwood, Midtown Terrace, and pretty much anybody within that top 20, I would say. So anyhow, we'll keep an eye on it. So that's it for that. I was thinking last night when I went to bed, I was like, geez, there's not going to be much to talk about tomorrow night. And then what do you know, we had this morning when I woke up, there was a Upland Q1 2024 update. And the headline was Explore with Car Transportation, Revamp Seasons and Open Source Racing. I did have a quick listen to this morning as I was scrambling to work. It was on 2x speed, so I was writing down some pretty scribbly notes here. And I'm just saying before we got kicked off, I can hardly even read them myself. Anybody in chat, did you happen to catch up on that? Anything stick out to you? If you want to chime in or just type it up. Or haven't watched it yet. I think it's pretty good for them to get that out there. Get one out there nice and early. They seem to be going straight out the gate this year. Lots of stuff happening. So I'll just, if something pops up in chat, I'll catch up on that. Otherwise, I'll just run through my notes. So a couple of things first off the bat. They mentioned quality of life features. And one of the big things there they talked about was a search feature for properties when, trading or stuff like that. Hallelujah. And it was also mentioned that was going to be coming through real soon. Hopefully that extends to, well, they did say trading properties. So hopefully that extends to when you're setting collections as well. That'd be a huge quality of life update for sure. Then they discussed Spark and Sparklet. They mentioned that they're spending a lot of time working on all of the back-end smart contracts. And they were going to put the call out at some stage for some community input on the future of Spark utility. I mean, I think there's already been tons and tons and tons of suggestions. So maybe they can spend some time looking back through some of the stuff that's already been heavily discussed. Or if you do have something in mind, perhaps they're going to put some official kind of thing together where they're going to re-get them all on board. Probably be another Reddit thing. They seem to be all about Reddit for that sort of stuff. So that was kind of good. Platform mechanics, they mentioned there's a couple of strange, interesting ones in here. They're going to continue to work on the first-time user experience, trying to up the player attention stats. I thought this was a bit strange, this one, actually. One of the big things they seem to be working on as part of that first-time user experience is getting access to a temporary, not NFT car, but just a car so you can play around with that whole system and whatnot. I think it seems like a weird kind of thing to go after to try and get people to stick around. I mean, especially a mobile game, like if I try and do racing on the cars, the loading time on the screen for that is just, it takes ages to load, unless they're doing some kind of fully separate thing. They did mention that they're not going to be those new players that are racing with their fake cars. They're not going to be racing against other people. It's just going to be against AI. So maybe it's going to be a very simplified thing. Not sure if that's going to involve the whole swathe of tracks, whether they're going to have access to all the different tracks. And there's a QIPS later on about how some of these Speedway meta ventures that are getting heavily built out, the lag on some of those is kind of getting out of control. So it'll be very interesting to see how that's all going to play out. But yeah, it just seems like I don't know, if I was a first-time user and then I played around with that whole car thing, I don't think that's going to be the shiny thing that's going to grab my interest. But who knows? Maybe they're going to set it up so it's fun and interesting. Maybe utilize the carts, do a little kart track or something, kind of dive into the Mario Kart-esque sort of stuff. Have to wait and see. The other one they mentioned was MetaMask. They're going to flesh that system out, and they're going to make you're going to be able to buy other stuff with your ETH. So you're going to be able to buy packs of stuff, Spark, and they're going to roll out different ERC20 tokens as part of that. I think I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. it's a bit strange that they're all hyping this all up, because we've had this system in place for years and years and years where you could buy UPX with crypto. It's good that that's back, and it's good that's going to extend. So I don't know, bit of a strange one. They mentioned that one of the things that they were, it seemed like Danny was kind of pushing, who was it, Edan, to kind of get into this a bit more, but apparently they're going to dive into seasons a bit more. So there's always been talk about how, day mode, night mode in Upland, seasons, like we know we have with the structure ornaments, they are seasonal, but they kind of didn't really get into details. But they did say there's going to be a complete overhaul and expansion of the season concept, and they're pretty tight-lipped about that. One of the notes I wrote down was AUS, Oz, question mark. Is this going to be a continuation of, hey, look, we're doing Christmas and everything's freaking snow and it's all like that? Well, it don't snow here in Christmas. So are they going to finally give some love, or, differentiate things to be a bit more inclusive for the wider globe? Still yet to be seen. Hopefully so. That would be nice. They also mentioned transport. So keep in mind, this is a Q1 roadmap update. So cars as private transport expected to be very soon. They mentioned Spark as the fuel for those. They also mentioned cars as having a car-only city release. So expect some movement in that in Q1. Hey, Lily. And Bewilderment jumped in. So have to wait on that. They mentioned different sort of racing mechanics that might be coming in. As part of that, you'll be able to set the scope of races. So you will be able to, coming up, you will be able to set a race. So it's only S1Rs, or it's only, whatever you want to do, semi-trailers or whatever it is. And they also mentioned maybe making the code public for the racing to try and get a few bit more UGC elements involved in that. Now, one of the things that they didn't mention as far as transport, which stuck out to me and it's kind of a blessing and a curse, really. There was no mention of transportation mechanics for map assets or structure ornament crates or anything like that. So no mention of the trailers for the semi trucks or anything like that. So I've kind of been a bit slack with moving all my map assets. I was really kind of hoping that there was a deadline in there, so that'll really kick me into gear and light a fire under my ass to get me going. So, but yeah, there was no mention of that, so I'll have to wait and see. What else did we say? Metaventures. Now this is what I can't read. They talked about cafes. Cafes coming into the users' hands. The first batch of those will be from the Genesis Week prize winners. There's going to be features like being able to offer subscriptions and yada 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 to help support UGC creators. And they also mentioned for Metaventures having a proper sandbox playground environment for things. Like, I know, if you remember, if you've been listening for a while, way back in the day when we first submitted our first series of Outdoor Decor map assets, the 10-piece set, we agonized over sizes and all this sort of stuff. DTech worked on it. I submitted them all. And then when we got them back, the scales were just all completely wrong. And then there was so much backwards and forwards and just months of downtime trying to get that sorted out. So within this sandbox environment, it's going to help, get rid of all those niggly things. And Lily says in chat, oh my God, I'm so over the moving. And I've only been doing it a few months. I had another one this morning, I believe it was BAMTech. And I've had so many DMs over the past, probably about the last month and a half. Like, oh my God, now I know why you were whining about it so much. Yeah, I am a whiny old bastard at the best of the times, but this one's heavily justified. Yeah, if you're moving map assets or crates or whatever, especially on mobile, and I think I spoke about this last week. The optimization levels required on mobile is significant. The white screen crashes when you do anything, at least on iOS. And I've got a brand new, well, not brand new, I've got a iPhone 15, I believe, or a 14. It's just crazy.
Even Pixel 6 on Android is the same shit. Five swaps or 5 asset movements, and you have to restart the app to get further.
Yep. Yeah, and a lot of the times I'm moving stuff from within Midtown Terrace, and because Midtown Terrace is so jam packed with development and stuff, it just crashes on its own. So I get the typical map asset crash on top of the can't load Midtown Terrace crash. It's quite shocking actually. So there's a lot of back end optimization that needs to be done. Lily says check boxes at least, yeah, or even being able to save an address. The amount of times, like I'll copy and paste the address, but then it'll white screen flash crash, and then that's gone. You have to redo it, and yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun. It is quite the grind. Anyhow, shift drag, yeah. NFLPA, they mentioned replicas being able to be created from burnt essentials. If you're all about the NFLPA, maybe that's going to be something you're interested in. And then, of course, totems. You know, at least the first half of Q1 is going to be all about totems. They're going to be monitoring the progress from the first cycle, making changes from there. Makes perfect sense. They also outlined some dev tools. We have, according to what they said, 6 to 10 mini games coming in, and they kind of hinted that they were going to do a similar challenge coming up as well. Whether that's going to be another game dev challenge or something else, have to wait and see.
And Scrimusa mentioned in the general chat yesterday they will do a spotlight for each of these mini games to promote it.
Nice. I have seen a bit on Twitter. I think they shared one before. It was basically Flappy Bird. I was like, really? Wow. It seems, I don't know, there's that many Flappy Bird clones out there, but to make an official Flappy Bird clone in the game seems a bit strange. But I guess nobody reinvents the wheel. All games feed off some other previous games. And what else did we talk? Oh, Edan kind of mentioned towards the end, 2023 was the year for builders, and they were kind of spruiking that 2024 is the year for growth. So hopefully, we've been saying that for the longest time as part of, the Sparklet proposal and getting this out there in the wider crypto space, more eyeballs and that sort of stuff. I did think it was interesting at the end there, Edan. I've got it in quotes here, but I'll say what I wrote down, but don't quote me as quoting him exactly. But he was talking about what was the context? People talk about, hey, when are we going to get utility for properties, yada, yada, yada. And he said something along the lines of every feature that comes into Upland is property utility. And I was listening along saying, yeah, kind of, but we still just need baseline property utility as well, which there's a QIPS on that coming up. I think it's just utterly bizarre that there's not some kind of reward, financial reward, whether it be UpX or collection boost for putting a building on your property. So I don't know. So yes, it is yes, it is. Every single thing that comes into Upland helps boost the greater ecosystem and whatnot. So yeah, I guess if you take a big picture perspective, that's true. But we could also go a bit micro on that and get some actual very easy to understand property utility as well. I think that was kind of my takeaway from it all. The biggest one for me, I guess, was interesting was the cars as private transportation. It's going to be fun to play around with that, and a car only city release. That sounds pretty cool. And probably the other one, of course, the quality of life feature.
It would be nice if they do a car only city release and only announce it maybe 8 hours in front, and you need 8 hours to drive from another city to this new one. So most people won't get it. That would be fun, I think, but the complaints would be too much if they do something like this.
Well, that might be a good hint right there, actually. Like if you have more than one car, if you have several cars, well, maybe you might want to think about not bunching them all up in one city, in one neighborhood. You might want to put one in Europe. You might want to put one in South America, or
Okay, so something for all the car meta venture owners to sell cars so that I can have one car in every city, just in case.
Why not? Yeah. So I thought it was good. Yeah, it was pretty good. It was a nice quick one. plenty of information in there, a lot to look forward to, and a lot for them to work on. So we'll see how they go. All right. Now, as I said, I've pinged this as the main topic for the show, Totem Life. It's a touch complicated. As you may have seen, at one point, I had about 15 totems. I sold all but one of those. I cashed that in to pay off some bills, and I've just got my lonely old red wolf, and I've been playing around with that myself. I underfed it the first feed. I think I fed it 30, and it said try and feed more next time. I was going to try and feed it at the 12-hour mark, but I was like, bugger it, I'll just feed it at the 24-hour mark. I fed it 50 at the 24-hour mark, and it just said success. So we have seen this. There's a lot of chatter in general. There's a lot of backwards and forward stuff, kind of nut out the nitty gritty for all of this. And 50 did seem about right for the red. And I could probably bump that up to 60, but we'll see how we go. I'm only going to feed it again tomorrow morning. So it'll be another 24-hour feed. The feed ratio or whatever it said, dropped down under 50%. Not sure yet if that was because I underfed it the first time or it was too much of a gap between the 24-hour period. For me personally, 12 hours is doable. I could do it at 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. I could do that. Anything other than that, like I feel for some of these people that have got reds, they've got browns, they've got oranges, and they're getting up at every, it's 7 hours for one, but apparently the optimal feeding time is halfway between that. So they're getting up every 3 hours for one and every 6 hours for the other, and yada, yada, yada. I was like, yeah, that ain't for me. So I don't know. Anybody else want to chime in on the old totems? How you going? You having fun? Not playing with it? Don't want to know about it?
I think it was a nice event to collaborate between all the Upland players, because the Discord activity in every Discord where you can find something about totems or a beach, for example, or the analytic assassins or the Upland Discord. If you go away half an hour from your PC, you have to read 500 new messages to get something of it. It activated the community, and this is one of the nice effects of it. On the other side, it is so intransparent, and then you think you got something, then you prove it, and you got proven wrong.
Yes.
So yes, since 11 said, it's not really fun. But yeah, I think in the end it would be something for Upland to sell Totem to the users, because as far as I can see, there are at least 30 from the 1,400 Totem owners who get to 0 Totem. So they can't spend any more unless they buy something from the store. And yeah, let's see what we will get. For me, it's fun to try and error and to do the Excel voodoo to get something out of it. But yes, I will not put an alarm clock to feed my Tamagotchi.
No, me neither. So what's Grizzly said, stinking totems, I underfed mine and now it's angry at me with 27%. Yes, Laban, so far not fun. The positive thing is what Pure said, it activated the community. Grizzly followed up. I like seeing all the minds come together to solve the mystery of how much to spend on what totem. Yeah, and keep in mind, this is the very first cycles too. So it's inevitable that the community is going to pick this apart and know exactly. But by the end of this 30 days, there's very smart people and there's a lot of chatter going on. They're going to have it nailed. So when it comes to the second round of this, everybody's going to be on board. It will be very interesting to see how the market goes. Like if people, I saw, is it Scotty Boom or somebody had 130 of them or something, whether they hold on to them or whether they dump the floors.
70,000 Totem delivered to him. A bit of work.
Yes, so I'm definitely in that same boat too, where I did the math on mine. Like I can feed mine for 20 days, and if I don't get any kickback, then it's going to starve to death. I'm definitely not going to buy any more Totem. The first Totem collection that I got was 4.49 or something for 24 hours. So, depends on what curve you're on. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think that this would be one for cycle 2, since Upland stated they don't do a earnings cap.
Yeah.
So if all the smart people they get all the formula you need to handle the Protem and the Totems right, then they can say, and now we do a cap
Yes.
for something, and happy research.
Yes. Yeah, you will have to set your alarm. So yeah, I'm definitely not playing that game. I'll just plod along with my little red wolf. Lily said, still testing. Mine went down to 49, but climbing back up, nightmare. And Grizzly, at that point, I'd activate for the badge and then let them sit for the stand. Goodness, yeah. Right, now we did see, as Bewilderment mentioned, there's a whole bunch of different communities that are putting stuff out there. I will just shout out Nosif and the team at Red Hook, who've got a lot of cool stuff going on over there. There is a specific server for totems. They put this together, I believe. This is a pretty cool graphic. If you're listening on the Spotify, it has, all of the basic details. I kind of went off this for mine. I don't even know. I forget what my input is, but I've got a red one and it says here feed at 60, feed it every 35 hours, I believe. So I'm doing it a bit less than that. And mine's a micro, and then there's extra information about hexagon. So yeah, by the time we get to the end of this first cycle, there's going to be heaps of stuff like this. And when it comes to doing the second one, it's going to be simple. And then, well, aside from the alarm clock situation, but yeah, I'm certainly not disappointed that I cashed in most of mine and helped pay off some bills. Very happy with that move. I don't know. That's all I got on totems. Anybody else? Any last words? How about you, Swally? You're pretty quiet over there.
No? Yeah, I'm just watching, waiting, seeing. I've got 7, I only activated 1. I fed at 50. I got no feedback, so I was like, I don't know if that's good or bad. No news is good news, I'm guessing.
Yep.
It paid me back 9, about 24 hours later, and it's still sitting at 95% score. So I'm like, okay, I assume that means I do nothing. I don't know. But it's interesting that you think it's got to do more with colors, and I thought size and style would have had more to do with it than color, but I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of chatter that color has a big part to play, but yeah, as I said, I haven't been keeping my finger on the pulse. But I think that's a smart move. If you've got multiple, if you've got 7, as you say, activate 1, play around with it, get a feel for the system, and then go further.
Yeah.
And what nobody realized yet is penalties. Like your totem stops the cycle if you miss too much, because we are maximum at cycle 3. Or day 3 now. So there will be some surprises, I think, for for one or other people's. So let's see.
Swally, you had some final thoughts there?
No, I was just going to say, because I activated a blue micro goat, so I figured that'd be the smallest and cheapest to feed, and I fed at 50, having no clue what I was doing. And I've had no feedback since, so I'm like, I'll just ignore it and wait for everyone else to figure it out.
Well, according to this chart, you can feed blues up to 70, and the feeding period's up to 42 hours. But I believe I read something where the optimal feeding is half of that. So I think you're pretty much on the right track, perhaps.
Half of this time frame is the first feed, because if you activate your totem, you are at the sweet spot to feed. So you have to wait only half of the interval to get to the second, and then you should use the 40 and 48 hours or something like this. But no financial advice here, no?
Yes. Yeah, and it was oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, that doesn't make sense to me, because it's been, a day and a half, so what's that, about 36 hours? And I haven't fed it anything, and I'm sitting at 95%. So again, what you're saying doesn't seem to make sense to what I've done.
At my totems, the score only changed after I fed. So I put some more Totem in, and then it changed.
Yeah, maybe after that.
So maybe you're sitting on your 95% until it dies.
Yeah, they go from 95 to 2. Yeah, have to wait and see.
If it dies, it dies. I'm Yeah, I don't care.
Oh, there's plenty of butthurt on the way. Like there will be people that get penalties and their totems get locked up. We've kind of already seen a bit of that. I know I kind of did that myself as well before I realized. Like I fed it the 30 Protom initially and it said maybe try and spend more next time. And then I went into the Discord and saw that well, for reds, maybe try 50. So then I put another 15 on top, but then it turns out it's not cumulative. So that was just a complete waste of Protom. And I have seen some screenshots and people talking where they've just pretty much fed their whole Protom balance all in one hit. So they're completely burnt out of Protom. And the, what does it say in the announcement kind of post? The Protom sale registration opens Thursday. So that's Friday, 2 a.m. my time. So we got on another whole bunch of time before that starts, and then the first sale is Friday 9 a.m. PT, Saturday 3 a.m. my time. So yeah, I mean, if you did burn out your Protom, well, yeah, you're not even going to be able to stretch it out to be able to buy Protom and keep it alive. You're going to probably face multiple penalties in that period. So I don't know. But like I said, it's very much a teething process, this first cycle, and we'll see how we go. Hopefully people don't get their noses too out of joint with it all and just throw their hands up in the air and walk away. But that's easy for me to say because I've only got one and it's easy to babysit one. So.
But I saw on Facebook the first business model around totems, pay me 10,000 UPX and I say you how to feed.
Yes. Well, before we got kicked off, I know Sir Ness, he was trying to put a totem kindergarten together. He was definitely all about that. But then once he realized you couldn't transfer Protom to look after other people's things, then that all became a bit of a moot point. But that'd be cool. So it'd be a full-time job. Imagine that, getting up at all hours of the night to feed somebody else's pretend animals. Crazy, crazy times. All right, moving on. We'll move on to some quips. Pardon me, got a bunch this week. First up, we've got a 3-pack from 6week6 to start us off, who asks, is Upland going to sell to a bigger company next year? There is a lot of speculation about that on a particular Discord server and between some particular Twitter members that I've seen. I would be highly, highly doubtful of that. I know that, I believe, is it Dirk? Or it might be Dirk, Andy Down, and Manny, maybe they're kind of serial entrepreneurs where they have done this before. They've done startups and flipped them. I don't know. It feels very much to me like you hear Idan speaking this morning on that video. Him and Dirk, whenever you hear them talk, it's almost like this is their baby project. So I'd be very surprised, but who knows? Anybody else want to chime in that? You think Upland's just grooming this all? Fluffing the numbers, if you're led to believe, as some say or some speculate, just to sell it on? I'd be highly surprised. Bit of a touchy, tricky subject to navigate, perhaps. They seem attached, but money is money, I guess. Yeah, absolutely. Everything's for sale at a price. Yeah. So I don't know on that one, 6week6. What do you think? Might have been catching up on the echo chamber. As I said, I have seen that being bandied about a fair bit. Would it be a good thing? Would it be a bad thing? Could very easily go either way. I mean, if Animoca Brands or some big thing like that was to buy it out and do a massive cash injection, could go anywhere, or somebody might come in and completely have a completely different vision and just completely corrupt the whole thing. Who would know? Yeah. So that's that one. Now he's got another two here. 6week6 also asks, will homes become like cafes in the future? I'd love to have my home address be able to host my NFTs, music, and other digital assets I acquire. Will homes become like cafes in the future? No, as we mentioned, I think cafes are going to become like cafes in the future. Every man, woman, and their dog can apply to have a cafe. Metaventure, I would assume. As far as being able to host or display NFTs, music, and other stuff, I've said this ad nauseum time and time again. We had that functionality in October 2020. You could go into one of my properties, you could click inside, you could go inside the building, and you could watch a video that I created with my family for Halloween. So we had that way back when. I would definitely love to see that. Yeah. Will homes become like cafes? It's one of those things that has been mentioned for a very long time. It's been constantly requested. I would hope so. I mean, there's a lot of people, myself included, who bought up a bunch of wax NFTs thinking that at some stage they were going to be able to bring those in and decorate some kind of thing. There's a lot of people out there, artists and whatnot, digital artists, or who do stuff they want to sell and kind of, Eddie might be one of those, the Board Up Lander Club, with a lot of the Realia stuff he's mixed in with the coffee brands and all that sort of stuff. There's so much they could do there. Even the ninjas, they do a lot of stuff like that too. So I wouldn't hold my breath. Hopefully that does come through at some stage, because I said it has been talked about for the longest time. But yeah, doesn't seem to be on the radar at the moment. And then finally, 6week6 also asks, will Sparklet be exchangeable like on Taco Swap? I think it's way too early to speculate on any of that. That's one of the biggest things, is what exchange a particular coin lands on. That can really make or break a release of a coin. Hopefully Upland's going for one of the semi-mainstream exchanges, and it's not some bizarre, obscure one where you feel really dodgy doing your KYC to get on the thing. Did plenty of those back in my ICO days. Exchangeable, yeah, there's plenty of other things there that do exchanges. I think that's all we got to wait and see. Perhaps jumping the gun a little bit. We need to get it on at least one exchange first, and then see how we go. So yes, lots to kind of think about there from 6week6. And we had a last minute submission here from Laban just before we got kicked off, who states, it's too effing time consuming, meaning totems. Upland should let the user choose the style of the cycle the user wants to start, easy versus advanced. That would be good. Where easy cycle mode requires the user to feed the thing every 24 hours or something, like mine, with less payout in the end. But if you choose advanced mode, the mode they're running today, the user has to work more and the reward is therefore also higher. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Would be good to have that option. So yeah, I don't know. I like it. Have you perhaps put a post together for that, or get in Cernus is here? I'm sure he'd love to talk about that. Just backtracking, Swally says Uniswap would have to be the first exchange, but it would be awesome if it ends up on a deck such as Coinbase. Yep. Yes, absolutely. Good point. Need to reach out to Cernus. Yes, get him on it. He's all about that sort of stuff. Yeah, any sort of, I guess, moving away from the whole RNG thing, giving community members, users more control, to play to their strengths, their abilities. Like I just, there's no possible way that I would have any interest in or could get up every 3 hours to feed some bloody thing for a game that's on my phone. Yeah, it just ain't happening. So yeah, I would definitely, if I could pick and choose that, I would definitely go for the longer time period for, a reduced earnings. Makes sense to me, as I said. And last up, we got one last QIPS from Bewilderment. He's in chat, who asks, the loading times of speedways with excessive amounts of map assets and buildings are higher than empty tracks. Scrolling with map assets through the map can be a hard job, for example, Midtown Terrace. Do you think the UGC embargo is something Upland's going to use to slow down the distribution of tons of shit, in quotes? There are many map assets which look ugly and don't do anything else than trying to fill the creator's pocket. No offense to the good ones. There is a good amount of beautiful assets out there. Yes, as we mentioned, currently, at least on the mobile app, it cannot handle even, well, I guess Midtown Terrace isn't, I was going to say even half-filled areas, but Midtown Terrace at one point in time was almost fully built out, almost fully full of map assets. And yeah, if you think about putting structure ornaments on top of that, it was a white Christmas because it was just all white screen crashes. So yeah, I don't know. Something definitely has to be done to optimize the game to be able to handle that. I don't think the answer is to put a limit on the amount of, as you say, tons of shit that's going to be put out there. I think the gates for that hasn't even begun to crack open yet. I think with all of the things they're doing to streamline the UGC submission process, they seem very much open to getting more people involved, more designers, more manufacturers. I think, even now, as Edan mentioned, 2023 was the year for building. I think when he mentions 2024 is the year for growth, I think that's very much the case of UGC. I think structure ornaments are going to go crazy. We're going to see more, even just more cars on the map, like DTEX and other people are making the carts now. So there's going to be more of those. I think there's going to be a whole bunch of other stuff, boats, whatever, you name it. I think we haven't even seen a small
said in
percentage.
the Q1 between the lines that there could be other form of vehicles.
Yeah,
maybe buses to transport more people, or motorcycles, or boats, or plane, or whatever.
Electric bloody scooters, who would know? Yes. And what has Swiley said? Is there an option to burn map assets? No, not as of yet, but it'd be interesting that might be a case if there's some kind of dev project associated with that. They do seem pretty keen to explore that. But yeah, the whole, it seems backwards. Like there's a problem there where the game cannot handle the load with all of this stuff that it already has. It would be weird, instead of fixing that problem, instead of optimizing the game to try and restrict how much is coming in. That's kind of seems like an arse about way to go about things. And it's putting a band-aid on an open wound. It's just, you're going to get to that point again eventually. And then where do you go? So yeah. Yes, I think they're definitely going to have to spend significant time, money, resources to fix up the optimization, because yeah, it's only going to get worse. And if you've tried to do any sort of event, even back in the Portage Park Christmas event days, the game just can't handle it at all. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So that's the quips for this week. Cheers for that, 6 weeks, Laban and Bewilderment. You've all won yourselves 10,000 UPX after fees. A reminder that if you want to submit a quips, there is a link to the Google form in the description. And if you want to claim a prize for doing so, well, you have to include your in-game name in your submission. All right, just a couple of last things to touch on. Now, let me get this set up here. Not that one, this one. And I'll zoom it in. So last week, I believe we did the first one of these, and I was chatting to Mesme, and we're going to continue along with this. So we've got the dynamic node builders getting to know community members. In this week's getting to know community members segment, care of Mesme, as I said, and the other members of the dynamic node builders, they're featuring player Metal Raider. I did a bit of extra clickety-clicking, and Metal Raider is currently an executive with a net worth at a bit over 10 million UPX, with over 180 properties and just under 7.5 Spark. Home residence is in the Paradise neighborhood of Las Vegas. And let's check out what the DMB interview responses were for old mate Metal Raider. So it's pretty funny, last week's one. Let's see what we got this week. So yes, in-game name Metal Raider, Uplander since January 2022. One thing you will never do again, credit card debt. Ouch. Just paid all mine off with that money I got out from Upland. Thank you very much. Pet peeve, social media. That's interesting, but you're engaged in social media to say that. Superpower, flying. Yeah, I always say that one. Or teleportation. Have you been to Vegas? Yes. Where do you live? Capital of CA. What's CA? Is that California? I don't know macros for that. Occupation. Occupation is tell people pick it up and put it down. Interesting. Any guesses on what that one is? Pick it up, put it down. Public figure you know the most about, James Hatfield and Marcus Allen. Don't ring a name bell to me. Those ones. Most common internet search history, fitness, bucket list, go to Hawaii. Do you have tattoos? Yes. If you could start a charity, what would it be? Helping youth activity. 3 Uplanders you chat with regularly, City Pigeon, Curtis 688, and T-Case, and Guilty Pleasure, the old whiskey. Nice one. All right, let me catch. Did I miss that? Yes. All right. So if you would like to get yourself involved in what the DMB's got going on over there, or if you know of someone who the community might be interested in learning a bit more about, as I said last week, send Mesme or any of the other dynamic node builders a DM, and I'm sure they'll hook you up. Not much other news to touch on this week. Only other thing I've got pegged is MBE news. You might have seen that I did put out the Blockweb Beat podcast this week, which if you've been following this channel for a while, you would have noticed how it's quite an obvious throwback to the Web3 Breaking Badly news series that we published in January and February of 2022. That was a daily show, and switching from that daily version to a potentially weekly version is, of course, going to be a lot easy to manage, but we'll see how it goes. The first episode was fun to do, and as long as it continues to be fun and it doesn't disrupt the in-real-life harmony, then I'll keep doing it. Speaking of which, if you do happen to come across any interesting articles that you think might be a good fit through the show, through the week, then please sling me a DM and I'll try and patch them in there. All right, giveaways time. The MVA server competition wheel. Last week's challenge was FOMO versus MEHMO. Which side are you on? Predominantly, why and how? I did see that it was, I would have to say, overwhelmingly in the MEHMO category. We'll have to see if everybody can stick to that. So there you go. Prize, of course, was your name was going to roll on a list of all entrants for the chance to win 10,000 UPEX after fees, and you will, of course, get yourself another entry into the 2024 end of year giveaway prize draws. Now, Wheel of Names is playing nicely, so we'll go straight to that. Give it away. Swally says, I'll eventually change to FOMO. Yeah. And like I said, it's quite normal to go backwards and forth between the two. All right, let's see who's going to win. Weekly challenge, 10,000 UPEX. Goes to, oh, the fish might have it. Hawaiian fish. You know, that's funny. I was putting the list of participants together and I was like, oh, fish, he did put a comment. It wasn't really an entry, but I'll allow it. And what do you know? What a classic. He won. All right, let me just get out of there for a second. Fish is a good bloke, so I don't mind slinging him a few upper Exaroonies. So that was last week's challenge. This week's challenge, totem cycles have begun. How's it all going for you? Let us know. And if you're skipping the entire thing, well, of course, that's a valid entry submission to outline also. Just like this week, next week, your name will roll on a list of all entrants for the chance to win 10,000 UPEX after fees and yet another entry into the 2024 end of year prize giveaways. So yes, totem cycles have begun. How are you going with it all? Let us know. And that brings us on to the live participants wheel. I think I got everybody. Let me just go share screen for that. I'm not going to do UPX for this one. Already given away a bunch with the QIPS and everything this week. So we'll do another garden bridge here now. Where did I write that down? We've got Grizz, Laban, Swally, Bewilderment. I'm going to spell that wrong every time. Lily. I spell Lily wrong every time too. Is that all we got in? I didn't miss anybody. Yep, that's all. Okay, so this is going to be for a red garden bridge. Samurai Aquatics, red garden bridge. speaking of which, I need to get manufacturing some more of those. Ooh, Swally might have got you there. He might have beat you. Swally, look at that. Comes back into the fold. Wins himself a prize straight off the bat. I'm getting very close to having a showroom in every city, which of course is going to make all of this sort of stuff, giveaways, a lot easier to handle. I'm applying for 2 more, finish up tonight, another one tomorrow, and then a few more after that. And then I'll be done and dusted. So that'll make life very easy. Right, that's all I've got for this week. Anybody else got something to spruik, spam, get out there? Anything you got going on at the moment, Lily? Any particular sales or anything? Showroom approved in like 14 hours. Yep.
Yeah, I have so many models. I'm confused about what to make next.
Nice. That's a good problem to have. Did you manage to squeeze any more in before the end of the deadline for this whole new system they're working on?
I did, but I really should have been keeping track of my emails, because the other day I counted my emails and I had 26 still to come. It's like, oh my God, I need double my Spark and I need another factory.
Yeah. Yeah, I just applied for, and it got approved, a 3rd factory. So that one's in Rio at the moment. So yeah, I'm trying to spread that out as well, just to kind of play the longer game for the future, see how it all plays out.
Yeah, at the moment, I just want all my factories together, but I want more factories than the Spark, so it's easier to control the Spark.
Yeah.
Because controlling the Spark with one factory is ridiculously hard.
Yep. Yeah. Do you find too, I don't know, it's because I've got a mix of the very first items and the new items. Some of them get manufactured like 50 at once, or all of the Spark goes on at 1 and it pumps out 1 every 4 hours. It's kind of all over the place.
Yeah, so I'm running 2 factories and I'll split my Spark between the 2 so I can control what's happening with it. Yeah.
And are you keeping up with all the movement?
Oh, it's so hard. I mean, I always knew that you weren't complaining for no reason.
Yep.
But I'm just like right there with you now, especially because hubby owns half the stores. So I have to send it to my main store. He can't leave LA. And I send it to there and he picks it up from there and sends it to his store. Yes. So he can't ever leave LA for more than 2 days.
And especially too, because some of the things you're manufacturing are little tiny, like witches' hats and all that sort of stuff. That must be fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
They pump out quite fast.
All right. You got anything particular on sale at the moment?
Not really. Oh, we've got those low send markers. They're kind of flying off the floor. And I finally got my pagoda approved and in and under manufacture.
Nice.
So, yeah, only 3rd try.
All right. Very good. All right. Well, best of luck with all of the totem feeding and whatnots, and see how you go with it all. Yeah. Good luck to you if you're getting up at all hours of the night. That game ain't for me. Anyhow, a reminder that if you're in a time zone that fits in with the new Thursday night recording schedule of starting at 7 p.m. AEST and you'd like to get involved, the link to the weekly Zoom is always going to be dropped in the NBA server about 15 minutes before the show starts. And of course, that invitation extends to any of the channel's podcast productions. So if you have an Upland NFT or Metaverse product, service, or event to promote, then send me, Ben68, a DM, or get yourself in the NBA server, which is linked in the description. I did have somebody reach out through the week and mention, I just need some time to save up the UPEX to pay for it. I'm like, mate, I don't charge nothing. If you've got something to spruik and spam, get out of there. I don't mind doing stuff for free as long as it doesn't get, out of control. Happy to get the word out if you've got something going on or you want to get something done. Other than that, all the best, everybody, and later.